The massive alien spacecraft hovered silently above Washington, D.C., its sleek surface reflecting the morning sunlight like a mirror of liquid silver. Major Jason Park stood motionless, his eyes fixed on the impossible machine that had just breached Earth's atmosphere. Military personnel surrounded him, their fingers hovering near weapon systems, tension crackling through the command center like electricity. Jason's tactical neural implant processed countless scenarios, scanning every pixel of data streaming across his augmented vision. This was not how first contact was supposed to happen. The ship didn't look aggressive. It didn't look threatening. Instead, it appeared almost elegant, like a droplet of mercury suspended in the sky, defying every known law of physics and human understanding. Suddenly, a communication channel opened. Not with military protocols or aggressive demands, but with a simple, clear transmission. "Diplomatic envoy requesting landing clearance," a female voice announced. The translation was perfect, without any hint of mechanical interference. Jason's team exchanged nervous glances. Protocol dictated caution, but something about the transmission felt different. Calm. Almost polite. "Clearance granted," he responded, his voice steady despite the adrenaline racing through his system. A landing zone had been prepared months ago in secret, surrounded by multiple layers of defensive systems and scientific research teams. As the alien craft descended, its movement was smooth, almost graceful, completely unlike any human technology. When the ship's outer shell began to transform, creating an elegant exit point, Jason found himself holding his breath. This was the moment humanity had speculated about for centuries. The figure that emerged was not what anyone expected. She was tall but not intimidatingly so, with skin that seemed to shimmer between metallic silver and soft pearl. Her movements were precise, calculated, yet carried an unexpected fluidity. Unlike typical alien depictions in human media, she looked almost approachable. Her diplomatic uniform was a complex weave of materials that seemed to change color subtly with her movements, blues blending into silvers, then shifting to soft grays. Advanced technology integrated seamlessly with aesthetic design. "I am Hannah Kim," she announced, her voice carrying a surprising warmth. "Diplomatic representative of the Galactic Confederation." Jason stepped forward, years of military training keeping his posture professional. "Major Jason Park, Earth Defense Force." What struck him immediately was her eyes. They weren't cold or alien, as he had imagined. They were curious. Intelligent. Almost human. Around them, scientific teams and military personnel maintained carefully rehearsed positions. Sensors buzzed. Computers processed endless streams of data. But in that moment, it was just Jae-sung and Hannah, two representatives of entirely different civilizations, meeting for the first time. "We've been observing your planet," Hannah said, "for longer than you might imagine." Her statement wasn't threatening. It was matter-of-fact, spoken with a directness that suggested neither superiority nor aggression, just simple truth. Jae-sung's neural implant continued analyzing her every movement, every micro-expression. But for the first time since the spacecraft appeared, he felt something unexpected rising within him. Curiosity. The alien before him wasn't here to conquer. She wasn't here to destroy. She was here to communicate. To understand. And in that moment, everything humanity thought it knew about first contact began to unravel. Little did Jae-sung know, Hannah's arrival would change everything, not just for Earth, but for an entire galactic civilization that had been watching, waiting, and wondering about the strange, unpredictable species called humans. First contact had begun. And nothing would ever be the same again. The diplomatic meeting room was sterile and cold, with stark white walls and minimal furniture. Jae-sung sat across from Hannah, watching her carefully as she reviewed multiple holographic documents simultaneously. Her fingers moved gracefully, manipulating complex data streams that seemed to dance around her hands. Unlike human technology, her interfaces responded to the slightest touch, almost like living extensions of her thoughts. "Major Park," she began, her voice carrying an unusual tone, "my civilization has been studying human behavior for decades. Our research suggests something unexpected." Jae-sung remained silent, waiting. Military training had taught him that listening often revealed more than speaking. Hannah's eyes, which seemed to change color subtly with her emotions, locked onto his. We find human social structures fascinating. Particularly your concept of individual choice. Her statement hung in the air, loaded with implications neither of them fully understood yet. In my civilization, she continued, partnerships are predetermined. Political. Strategic. Emotional connections are secondary, if considered at all. Her fingers paused their complex data manipulation. But humans, you choose. Jae-sung felt something shift in the room's atmosphere. This wasn't a standard diplomatic conversation. Something more complex was emerging. I propose a partnership, Hannah said suddenly. Not just diplomatic. Personal. The word personal carried weight. Different meanings. Complex implications. Explain, Jae-sung responded, his voice controlled but curious. Hannah's explanation unfolded like a complex mathematical equation. Her civilization required cultural exchange. Understanding. And she had selected him as a potential partner. Not a military alliance. Not a traditional diplomatic relationship. Something more intimate. More personal. You mean, Jae-sung said slowly, processing her words, some form of cultural integration? Hannah's smile was slight. Calculated. Yet somehow genuine. Precisely, she responded. A method of mutual understanding. Where our differences become our strength. The proposal was radical. Unexpected. Something no diplomatic protocol had ever considered. An alien princess. A human military officer. A partnership that defied every known galactic regulation. Jae-sung realized in that moment that first contact was about to become something far more complicated than anyone had ever imagined. Outside the meeting room, government officials and military strategists would soon receive a transmission that would change everything. A proposal so unusual, so unexpected, that it would challenge every existing understanding of interspecies diplomacy. Hannah waited. Watching. Her entire civilization's future potentially balanced on this single moment of human decision. Jae-sung took a deep breath. His response would alter not just his life, but potentially the trajectory of human-alien relations forever. The silence stretched between them, pregnant with possibility, tension, and the promise of something entirely new. First contact was no longer just about communication. It was about connection. The next week unfolded like a complex dance between two entirely different worlds. Hannah began explaining her civilization's intricate social structures, revealing layers of complexity that made human bureaucracy seem simplistic. Her people didn't understand individual love as humans did. Partnerships were calculated mathematical equations, genetic compatibility, societal contribution, strategic alignment. Emotional connection was almost irrelevant. In my world, she told Jae-sung during one intense discussion, we are born with predetermined roles. Your individual choice is revolutionary. Jae-sung listened, fascinated. Her civilization operated like a massive, perfectly synchronized machine. Each individual component precisely positioned, with zero room for personal deviation. She showed him holographic representations of her society, intricate networks where every citizen's path was predictably mapped from birth. No unexpected turns. No individual dreams. Just pure, calculated efficiency. And you find this restrictive? Jae-sung asked. Hannah's eyes flickered, a subtle sign of internal conflict. Not restrictive. Logical. Until I studied humans. Human behavior fascinated her. The ability to choose careers outside family traditions. To fall in love without strategic considerations. To pursue individual passions that might not serve collective goals. Your species creates its own destiny, she explained. We are created to fulfill predetermined destiny. Each conversation peeled back another layer of her complex cultural background. Jae-sung realized she wasn't just sharing information, she was seeking understanding. Seeking escape. Her proposal wasn't just a diplomatic strategy. It was a personal rebellion. She wanted to experience human unpredictability. To break free from her civilization's rigid structures. To understand what true individual choice meant. During one evening session, she revealed something deeply personal. I was selected as a diplomatic representative because I showed unusual curiosity. They thought sending me would reinforce our superiority. Instead, I'm learning how limited our understanding truly is. Jae-sung recognized something profound in her confession. This wasn't just cultural exchange. This was a personal transformation. Her civilization believed in absolute control. Humans believed in potential. In possibility. We make mistakes, Jae-sung said. But those mistakes help us grow. Hannah absorbed his words, processing their deeper meaning. Mistakes weren't failures in human culture, they were opportunities. Her neural pathways, designed for perfect calculation, started experiencing something new. Emotional complexity. The beauty of uncertainty. With each conversation, she moved further from her predetermined path. Each interaction with Jae-sung challenged everything she had been taught. Humanity wasn't just another species to be studied. They were a revelation. Her superiors would be shocked. Her civilization would be confused. But Hannah was discovering something more important than institutional expectations. She was discovering herself. The cultural revelations weren't just about understanding differences. They were about recognizing fundamental similarities, the universal desire for freedom, for understanding, for connection. Jae-sung watched her, realizing they were both explorers. Not just of space, but of something far more profound, the complex landscape of consciousness itself. Their conversations became a bridge between two worlds. Each word, each shared insight, was another plank in that bridge. And neither of them knew exactly where it would lead. But for the first time, that uncertainty felt like an opportunity. Not a threat, the communication arrived without warning, a high-frequency transmission that made the computer screens in the diplomatic center flicker and pulse with alien energy. Hannah's body went rigid, her skin shifting to a pale silver that reflected pure tension. Retrieval protocol initiated, she translated softly, her voice suddenly distant. Jae-sung understood immediately. Her civilization wanted her back. Not as a diplomat, but as a possession to be controlled and reset. Military intelligence teams scrambled. Sensors detected multiple quantum encrypted signals approaching Earth's orbital boundaries. Her home civilization wasn't requesting her return, they were coming to collect her. They will reset my neural pathways, Hannah explained, her usual calm replaced by something Jae-sung had never seen before. Fear. Her people's technology was centuries beyond human capability. Massive quantum ships could tear through Earth's defenses like paper. But something had changed. Hannah wasn't the same controlled entity she had been when she first arrived. She had learned about choice. Government officials debated. Military strategists calculated potential conflict scenarios. But Jae-sung knew something fundamental, they would not let her be taken. I choose to stay, Hannah stated, her voice gaining strength with each word. The alien retrieval fleet approached 14 massive ships that looked like liquid metal sculptures, capable of dismantling entire planetary defense systems in moments. Their technology represented computational power beyond human comprehension. But they didn't understand one crucial factor: human determination. Jae-sung activated emergency protocols. Not military responses. Something more complex. Diplomatic channels, legal frameworks, international agreements, a web of human complexity that her civilization hadn't anticipated. Earth's response wasn't aggressive. It was strategic. Every communication channel was flooded with diplomatic requests. Documentation. Formal objections. A bureaucratic resistance that confused the alien retrieval teams. Hannah watched, fascinated. Humans weren't fighting with weapons. They were fighting with words. With systems. With an adaptability her civilization could never understand. Her neural implants received continuous threat assessments. Retrieval was 98.7% probable. Resistance was mathematically impossible. But mathematics didn't understand human spirit. International space agencies coordinated. Scientific research teams presented complex arguments about diplomatic immunity. Legal experts drafted unprecedented documents challenging alien intervention. The retrieval fleet hesitated. Jae-sung realized they were experiencing something entirely new: uncertainty. Hannah's subtle rebellion had become something larger. A challenge to an entire galactic civilization's understanding of individual rights. Her people had always believed in perfect control. Humans demonstrated that true strength came from embracing imperfection. From choice. As alien ships hung motionless in Earth's orbit, a delicate diplomatic dance began. Not a battle. Not a war. But a negotiation that would redefine interstellar relationships. Hannah looked at Jae-sung, her eyes reflecting a mix of hope and calculated risk. She had crossed a point of no return. Her civilization would never see her the same way again. She had become something unexpected. Something dangerous. An individual. The conflict wasn't just about one alien princess. It was about the fundamental right to choose one's path. And humanity was ready to defend that right, not with weapons, but with a complexity that no advanced civilization could easily overcome. The universe watched and waited. The world changed in moments that seemed both sudden and inevitable. Hannah's decision to stay on Earth was more than a personal choice, it was a cultural revolution. Her civilization's retrieval fleet slowly withdrew, not through military defeat, but through diplomatic complexity they couldn't comprehend. Humans had transformed a potential conflict into an intricate negotiation that challenged every known galactic protocol. Jae-sung watched Hannah as she processed her new reality. She was no longer a diplomatic representative. She was something entirely new, a refugee of her own civilization, seeking understanding in a world fundamentally different from her own. "I have lost everything," she said quietly. "And gained something I cannot yet define." Her neural implants, once perfectly synchronized with her home civilization's systems, now flickered with inconsistent patterns. She was experiencing something her people had never allowed: true individual freedom. Earth's scientific community was fascinated. Here was a living example of cultural transformation, an alien who had chosen personal autonomy over predetermined existence. Government facilities became her temporary home. Research teams studied her, not as a specimen, but as a partner in understanding. Each conversation revealed layers of complexity that challenged everything humanity thought they knew about alien intelligence. Jae-sung became her primary liaison, bridge between her past and her emerging future. They weren't romantic partners. They were something more complex: cultural translators, understanding each other through patience and genuine curiosity. Her civilization continued sending diplomatic messages. Not aggressive demands, but increasingly confused inquiries. They couldn't understand how one individual could disrupt their perfectly calculated system. Hannah was learning human concepts that had no equivalent in her original culture. Personal dreams. Individual passion. The right to fail and try again. "In my world," she explained during one discussion, "failure was not an option. Here, failure is just another path to understanding." Her transformation became a symbol. Not just of personal liberation, but of the potential for cross-cultural understanding. International media covered her story. Scientific journals published detailed analyses. She became more than an individual, she represented possibility. Slowly, she began contributing. Her advanced knowledge merged with human creativity. Technology exchanges. Scientific collaborations. Cultural insights that opened new pathways of understanding. Her neural systems gradually adapted. Not by forced reset, but through genuine learning. She was rewriting her own programming, line by line, experience by experience. Jae-sung recognized the profound nature of her journey. This wasn't just about one alien finding freedom. This was about challenging fundamental assumptions of intelligence, culture, and individual potential. Months passed. Her appearance changed. Not physically, but in subtle ways. Her movements became more fluid. Her expressions more nuanced. She was becoming something neither human nor alien, a new kind of intelligent being. Her home civilization stopped communication attempts. Perhaps they recognized the futility. Perhaps they were studying this unprecedented scenario. Earth welcomed her. Not as a diplomatic curiosity, but as a potential partner in humanity's broader galactic journey. "I choose this," she would often say, those simple words carrying revolutionary weight. Her transformation was complete. Not through external forces, but through her own deliberate choice. A princess who became something far more powerful and individual. The universe watched and learned.